What is good, Josh on this full game, man? Back with yet another reaction video, baby. And today we are back with the Week 10 Power Rankings reaction video for you guys, man. I know I'm getting behind it, getting to this a little bit late because I think last week we put it up on Wednesday, but had some stuff to go ahead and take care of. So hopefully we can get this out today, Thursday, before the Thursday night games. Of course, before things start changing up again and my predictions look wrong. But very interested to see where they have them ranked here. Is Detroit still number one? Now the Chiefs are still undefeated and picked up a new receiver piece. Did they take back their top spot? Where are the Commanders? These are all, and where are the Eagles? Where are the Eagles? Where are the Ravens? Are the Bills above either one? The Steelers still looking strong and impressive. Where are they listed at, being that they are above the Ravens in the standings? A lot of questions to be answered here today that we're going to get to. So like, comment, and subscribe if you guys are brand new to the family, man, to show that love and support for your boy, as well as turn that bell on so you guys can know when new videos are going live. If you want to see more sports content, let me know, of course. We'll go ahead and jump into it. I'll get off my soapbox here for the day, though. Grab on the Beats by Dre's. And let's see what this ranking list look like.
Trade deadline, it is come and gone, and there's some teams that have clearly gotten better for a stretch run, maybe to a Super Bowl. We're going to be ranking all the teams. And by the way, if you're watching, you can scan the QR code or head to NFL.com, get analysis on all 32 teams, according to Eric. I got to imagine when you're doing some of these rankings, look, we got the results from the past weekend, but at the same time, future forecasting, not a big change this week in the rankings, but I think there's going to be some big movement because of some of the deals that got orchestrated on Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see if there are any kind of franchise-altering trades that were made Tuesday. Certainly, some players moving that I think can help their new clubs, and down the road, we'll see what helps the teams that traded those players away. But yeah, as we kind of get to the home stretch of the season a little bit, we'll find out what these acquisitions can do and how quickly they'll assimilate to their new teams.
Eric, well, let's jump into the rankings, some of those top teams, and really no change at the top for you.
Oh, wow. Top five stayed exactly the same. Lions, Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Commanders. I still don't have too much faith in the Bills, me personally. I keep them in the top five. I'd reorganize and put the Ravens and Commanders above them. That's just me. Sorry, Buffalo fans. But I completely agree. I can understand this list. I'm not going to argue with it. I'm not going to say it's wrong or anything. So let me know if your top five looks like that. But the changes start at 6. Here's the Vikings go up 1, Eagles go up 3, and the Packers drop down 2. Eagles above Vikings, and I'm good. At least with this top 8. Eagles above Vikings, and I'm straight.
The team of the week, and it's presented by Truist. The Lions getting Zadarius Smith. I think that's the best place to start because we had some questions maybe about Aiden Hutchinson getting pressure on the quarterback. Hasn't really been affected since he's been down. But you get one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. And Eric, I got to imagine the Lions might be able to hold on to that number 1 spot for a long time.
Absolutely. Part of the reason why I love the Lions this year is that they've sort of faced all takers. They've taken on all competition, no matter where the game is. Sunday, obviously, in the rain in the Lambeau. They've dealt with the Aiden Hutchinson injury. They've dealt with the Jameson Williams suspension. All these things thrown at them, no problem. They just go out and win. They can win games in totally different ways. But you bring in kind of a higher gun pass rusher like Zadarius Smith, 4th team, and I think 4 seasons now, I want to say. He's done some work for these different systems and these different clubs. And just adding one more pass rush source, I think, is a fantastic move, a great idea. He's sort of viewed as a pro's pro, a guy who I think can jump right into the Lions. So much of their success is based on culture. He's been on some winning teams like the Browns last year, the Packers before that. Love the move, love the addition, and love where this team is headed.
Yeah, and a big test for the Lions. Once again, on their schedule, it feels like there's a whole lot of them, but they'll hit the road against the Houston Texans, who we'll talk about in just a bit. And number 2, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. They score a win on Monday Night Football. It needed overtime to get it done. I think the entire league, well, really Kansas City fans, just a sigh of relief when Patrick Mahomes goes down, needs some help going across the sideline. He's A-okay. But what do we make of what we're seeing from Kansas City, who, once again, gets tested? I give Baker Mayfield in the...
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, though. Sorry to cut him off, but I ain't gonna lie. I really, when I saw that he got injured, I didn't watch the game, but I saw that when he got injured, I was like, well, there's the perfect season going. Unless he comes back for the postseason, there's basically the opening of the door for Detroit or Baltimore to win Super Bowl. In my eyes, those are the next 2 teams after Kansas City. So that was really the opening for me. So when he got back up, it was like, okay, never mind.
This Bucs team a lot of credit, but it's not like they're blowing teams out.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, the close game theme has worked for them to this point. Does it make you a little nervous watching them at times? Of course. But when you have Patrick Mahomes and a guy who can come back, I mean, heck, he played a whole season with a turf toe injury. So I think on some level, all of us expected him to peel himself out there, get out there, play and win the game. And of course, that's what he did. Had to fight off a valiant effort, like you said, from Baker and the Bucs. Thought they were really great, especially on that last drive. But you've got Mahomes, and the Chiefs defense needed help, right? I mean, that last drive, I think they looked a little gassed out there in the bad weather, and Mahomes and the Chiefs drive down the field, score the touchdown, win in overtime. For them, I mean, they were like the early voters, right? They got their DeAndre Hopkins trade done early. They got Josh Uche, so their moves are already kind of in the tank a little bit. And Hopkins was a big addition last night. 2 touchdowns, several clutch catches. Still working that chemistry out a little bit. They weren't always on the same page, but boy, by the end of the season, that move could really end up paying off in a big way.
It's going to be tough.
Huge. 14 receptions for Travis Kelce. That was a career high for him. Season highs across the board for D-Hop, especially with those 2 touchdowns. I got to be honest with you. I think Commanders fans are probably over me just saying, oh, on top of the NFC East, a little bit of surprise here. This is the last time I'm going to say this. If you would have told me at this point of the season, before the trade deadline, they would be buyers, I would be like, no, probably not going to happen. But they are, and for good reason. Marshawn Lattimore gets inserted into this lineup. What's the overall?
Yes, y'all, I'm okay. Not really, but I guess this officially means that the Saints rebuild is officially getting kicked off. I didn't know if I would ever see them do it in my lifetime. Just all the restructuring that we always do. I didn't know if we'd ever actually tear it down and build it back up, but we might just be doing that. Thankfully, we're not losing AK, but yeah, it looks like that rebuild is on and popping.
Overall effect that you think he can have for the Commanders?
Yeah, I'm with you. I would have projected if they were going to be buyers, it was going to be something like what the Chicago Bears did when they got Montez Sweat. Okay, thinking ahead of free agency, trying to get someone an expiring deal, hopefully re-signing him. But no, they went out and got Marshawn Lattimore, who's, towards the end of his career, closer to the end than the beginning, certainly, but an established, feisty, hard-nosed corner. And I think Dan Quinn obviously knows what he's getting here in terms of their biggest positional need, probably. And maybe one of the best players at that position that was actually available. So they did give up a premium, 3 draft picks, 1 coming back to the Commanders. We know how well they did in the draft last year, but I think this says, look, we see an opportunity here not only to win the division, but perhaps make some noise in the playoffs. We've got this precocious rookie quarterback who can deliver Hail Marys and beat teams consistently and fluster them with his legs and his throwing ability. So they're going for it. And I think Commanders fans, after all they've been through, and now this new regime, this new ownership change, this new head coach, new quarterback, new everything, they have to be over the moon at how this season has gone and have to love Adam Peters' aggressiveness and getting a cover guy that can really help that secondary.
Eric, we're a long ways away from talking about the NFL draft, but this is the exact reason why everyone clamors over quarterbacks, because one player on the field potentially changes the entire trajectory of your franchise, and Jayden Daniels has been able to do that. The other thing I'll throw out there, another tough test for the squad, matching up against the Steelers team, who we will discuss. They were also buyers before the trade deadline, but I want to focus our attention on the Minnesota Vikings, who sit 6th in your rankings. I think there's a big relief here. 2 consecutive losses, now officially in the rearview mirror. They get it done against the Colts. How big of a relief should this be for Minnesota?
We being honest, not too big. I mean, it's the Colts. They're like a mid-tier, and honestly on the lower end of that mid-tier. I don't know if that's too big of a relief for you to go and breathe. It's not a huge opponent, a team that can get victories, of course, but I should still be worried.
Yeah, I think a pretty big one, right? I mean, obviously you give up a defensive touchdown that maybe some people felt like they shouldn't have, the Colts shouldn't have gotten, and really had to fight through it. Sam Darnold had a good second half after some shaky moments there. Wasn't perfect, but I think the biggest development was seeing that defense dominate again. That was something that I think they had to have as part of their winning equation. We'd seen Brian Flores' unit be a really good group all season long up until the last couple of games, and felt like they had a real bounce back effort in that game against Indy. And, the run game is going to be there to a certain degree. Darnold's going to have his moments. We know the receivers can shine. They've gotten Hawkinson back. So, even with Darisaw out, I'm not as worried about the offense, and Darnold is a wild card, sure, but I felt like that defense had to get back to that top 5, top 10 type of unit that they'd established themselves as being the first part of the season. I think they did that Sunday. We'll see if it keeps going, though.
Yeah, we'll see the Vikings on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars that
should be
just figure out ways to rack up losses. Time for Future Champions, and it is presented by FanDuel. Okay. I know we just touched on the Washington Commanders winning that division, but they're not the favorite according to FanDuel. No, it's the Philadelphia Eagles. Saquon Barkley gave us
y'all better get y'all Commander votes in now so y'all can break bread. Trust me, I think the Eagles are really good too. Saquon's turning that team up. I still get the slight edge to Commanders. So y'all get y'all bets in on the Commanders. I'm not a betting man, so I'm not going to get no bets in. But if I was, I'm betting on the Commanders.
One of the best wow moments that we have seen. Dallas Cowboys will be the Eagles' next opponent. They sit in that third position, and then it's the New York Giants, who also can't seem to get out of their own way. But let's focus on the 7th-ranked team in those Eagles. Look dominant at times in this game. Yeah. Second half, they let Jacksonville make a run here. What do you make of the type of season that the Eagles are having? Because quite honestly, this roster is good, and I think most of us would have felt like they were the favorite to win this division.
Yeah, I think going into the season, Philly, Dallas had established themselves as the most consistent contenders. Now maybe the Commanders, had this thing going that the Eagles and other teams should have seen coming. But, they've worked through some inconsistencies. Bad defense one week, good the next. I thought Sunday was pretty good, even though, they did give up make it a 22-point game and then or a 22-point lead and then almost blow it. Got to work on those 2-point conversions, boys. But I'll tell you what, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, they have really been special, I think, the last 4 games. No interceptions for Hurts over that period. 12 total touchdowns, 6 of them running, 6 of them passing. That great catch by Devontae Smith. He's been so steady.
Hey, hold on. I don't ever really do this, bro. Not in the Madden or the NFL videos. But hold on.
Over that period, 12 total touchdowns, 6 of them running, 6 of them passing. That great catch by Devontae Smith.
And I wonder if was that Devontae Smith too? My boy he went up for it and just legs above head.
Smith, he's been so steady, even when A.J. Brown was out. So really like the direction the offense has taken. And, I don't know how much you can put on the defense for making it a close game. Obviously, there was a defensive score that helped get the Jaguars back in it a little bit. So if Barkley can keep making the impact he did, it'll continue justify, yes, this was a great signing at the time, despite the $13+ million tag. Mm-hmm. And I think that could help them really push the Commanders for that division title.
Yeah, the Slim Reaper in Smith, you made reference to it. Had it not been for the Garrett Wilson touchdown on TNF, I think Smith would have had the best touchdown in the entire week. Certainly fantastic. By the way, the Eagles, just the 5th team in NFL history to fail 3 2-point conversions and win.
Who gets
they gotta
these
figure
stats?
That aspect out. Meanwhile, they'll match up against the Dallas Cowboys, and their season looking not too strong. We'll touch on them a little bit later here on Power Rankings. At number 8, it's the Green Bay Packers. They drop a couple spots here. I don't know. I'm not overly concerned about that. What does raise some attention for me is Jordan Love and some of the turnovers here. We talk about him as an elite quarterback, and yet it seems like every single week there's another interception.
Yeah, obviously the injury kind of changed his season a little bit, but there are some parallels to last year. His first real time as a starting quarterback, had 10 interceptions the first half of the season, 1 in the second half prior to the playoffs. So we have seen this pattern before. The question is, are we going to get better ball security from Love? And that pick 6 was a gutter right before the half. I mean, that was a tough one. Obviously, the conditions were bad. Should never make this throw in the first place. He knows that. LaFleur knows that. Everybody else does too. There are some mistakes you got to live with this guy, but he's a special playmaker. I think he's starting to get healthy again. And you're right. I mean, they played the best team in football. One that has shown it can play in a lot of different conditions. If they can get that sort of ball security, ball handling, the snaps and all that, figure those things out. The Packers are a good team. They just had a bad Sunday.
And that happens. You can't have another bad Sunday in the division on the road against the Chicago Bears this coming week. Meanwhile, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers, buyers at the trade deadline. We'll hit on them. Don't look now, but the Cardinals are flying high. And Eric, there is one team we don't talk nearly enough about that continues to win. That changes coming up next on NFL Power Rankings.
All right, so we have the Steelers staying at 9. You honestly probably put them over the Packers too. Houston down 2, Falcons up 1 to 11, Chargers up 3, Niners, Cardinals up 4, Broncos down 4, and then the Bucks staying at 16. I on one-on-ones. If CMC really is back this week, because I did hear he practiced. 49ers over Chargers. Now, of course, this was made before that, I think, story came out, so I'll leave it alone there. Probably can just leave everything still the same. It's surprising they have the 49ers over the Cardinals despite a better record in that division. So the Cardinals are technically the higher team right now. So that's definitely some future forecasting in this rankings. But I do agree with that, though. Well, no CMC, I probably would take the Cardinals, but knowing what we know now, I think I like where this is at. You probably put the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Broncos, though, honestly. If we're being for real, one-on-one matchup, I'd probably put the Bucks over the Broncos.
On the defensive side, Preston Smith, now Pittsburgh bound. How dangerous does the Steelers now become the rest of the way?
Yeah, just another deep threat for Russell Wilson. I think had Justin Fields continue to be the quarterback, I don't know that they make a move like this. And maybe they do. It's not that Williams can't do other things, but he's a go up and get it kind of receiver, I think. And it wasn't quite working with the Jets. Obviously, they had hoped he would be a big target for Aaron Rodgers. Those two couldn't quite get on the same page. A few moments here and there adds to a Steelers receiver room that I think everybody pictured they would do something at the deadline. And then Preston Smith on defense, just another veteran edge guy to help kind of spell Watt and Highsmith and those guys. He can play off the ball too. So, how he fits in will be interesting to see. But with Russ there, I think Williams can kind of unlock his talent a little bit more.
Eric, I'm actually in love with where you have the Texans. I think they're one of the premier teams in the NFL. 10th feels right to me based off of what we saw against the Jets on Thursday Night Football. I'm actually cautiously worried about this team, considering all the pressure that CJ was under.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, even before the season, I thought, are they quite ready for prime time? That was the big debate I had with myself. But now that we've seen the pass protection break down completely, and this wasn't the first game it happened, but Thursday night against the Jets should have been pretty eye-opening. And I hope they've spent the last several days trying to figure out ways to improve the protection. What can they do schematically? Are there any personnel changes we can make? There are not a lot of in-house candidates who are obvious. How do you get the ball out of CJ's hand a little quicker? And oh, by the way, Stephon Diggs, great underneath receiver, guy can catch short passes, take him a long way. He's out for the year. Yep. So they might get Nico Collins back. How much more can they keep asking Joe Mixon to kind of be the load bearer for this offense, I guess? And that's, I guess, comes down to a little bit of an offensive identity question when you have these pass protection breakdowns.
Yeah, and look, I know I mentioned this earlier when we discussed the lines. That's the matchup between these two teams this upcoming week. So certainly a lot on the line for both of these squads.
Yep.
You ain't got no O-line.
This is not breaking news, and I don't feel like I'm going out on a limb. The Falcons are going to win the division. They've got the two matchups already in the bag with Tampa Bay after beating that squad twice. The lead continues to balloon here, and Kirk Cousins continues to ball.
Absolutely. I mean, look, Cousins has been a big part of what they've done and, continuing to kind of put their foot down against Dallas, maybe let up a little bit late, but I thought looked pretty impressive overall. Bijan Robinson is really kind of settled in as the guy in the run game. They can have a game where one of those receivers doesn't have a big outing. Now we'll see with Drake London. Is he banged up? Is he going to miss some time? I'm not sure about that yet, but just sort of steadily making progress throughout the season. I think, like you said, there's open road in front of them to win this NFC South division that, has really become kind of a two-horse race. And that's giving the Bucs a lot of credit, too, because of the sweep and also their loss on Monday night, putting them below 500. So you're right. That can they avoid blowing it? Can they just win games consistently down the stretch and get ready for the playoffs? That's the big question for this Atlanta group. Find a pass rush. Get more consistent on defense as well.
Is the Chargers, and they sit 12th in your rankings. They move up 3 spots here. Justin Herbert hasn't thrown an interception in his last 6 starts. They had 6 sacks and 3 picks against Cleveland. This is the way, candidly, I thought they were going to win some football games. Don't turn the ball over. Defense is taking a step up, and they're running effectively.
Amen. I mean, they haven't allowed more than 20 points all year. It's kind of wild, even with a little bit of a softer schedule. I mean, look, it includes the Chiefs, it includes the Steelers. They've faced some other good teams too, so it's not like they're facing nobodies. And Sunday was just a dismantling of a team that looked really good the week prior against the Ravens. And you're right, defensively, just the improvements they've made from one year to the next. Jesse Minter, Jim Harbaugh have done an excellent job on that side of the ball, and on the other side, figuring out that balance, that fine line between having Justin Herbert throw, making sure they have their franchise quarterback get his looks, his touches, and also be that run dominant team they are. They kind of settled in nicely here. They're winning games in a very predictable, but very tough to stop fashion if you don't have the right personnel. So yeah, they're going to be a handful to deal with. And if they have to go on the road in the playoffs, I think they would embrace that challenge. They've got nothing to lose at this point, and I love the direction of this team and what they've been able to do so far.
Yeah, they get the Titans next time out, so got to imagine probably get another victory here. Tennessee hasn't been necessarily a juggernaut this year. Time for Power Moves, and it's presented by Energizer.
Yep.
Eric, the team that is leading the NFC West, the Arizona Cardinals, they're figuring this thing out here. They're the 14th ranked team for you. Defense, season high, 6 sacks for them. James, speaking of formulas to win, I mean, Connor's been an absolute monster here. I don't know if it's going to end up where they're going to win this division, but my Lord, hat tip to Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, Jonathan Gannon, I'll be honest, at the time of his hiring, I had my questions. But even last year, even in a 4-win season, you could see the progress. You could see the aggressiveness on offense. You could see the direction they were heading. And Sunday, it all kind of came to a head. I thought it was one of their best games we've seen from them all season. Had a couple bad, tough losses earlier in the year, but made life really tough on Caleb Williams. You lose Dennis Gardeck and pass rush the way they did. I thought was very, very impressive, even against a Bears team that's had their share of issues there. Love the backs. They're getting their playmakers the ball. Defensively, they're making strides, and they're having fun out there too.
Yeah, it feels that way. And to be fair, I don't even think we've seen Kyler Murray at the peak of his powers just yet so far this season. So there's actually another gear here. I just look at the Niners and that roster. Christian McCaffrey on the mend, and the Rams are also a team that would scare me. By the way, speaking of the Rams, another trade to get to involving LA and Baltimore. Meanwhile, the Saints, they lost to Carolina. They got a new coach. What Eric thinks of what's happening in New Orleans. That's going to come on Power Rank.
All right, so team 17 through 24. We got the Bears dropping down 4, obviously with their loss. Rams going up 2. Could honestly probably flip-flop those 2. Seahawks down 2. Bengals up 2. A lot of 2 movements here. Bengals up. Colts down. Jets up. Cowboys down. Dolphins down 1. I mean, for the most part, we're getting late in the season, so a lot of this is starting to become more and more agreed upon, but maybe just flip-flop the Rams and Bears. Outside of that, maybe the Bengals and Seahawks can use a flip too. Shoot, after the big game they had, it might be Rams, Bengals, Bears, Seahawks, and then go Colts. I see. Yeah, probably can still have the Jets over the Cowboys and the Dolphins. I like that. We'll go with that.
Yeah, it seemed like he kind of fallen out of the rotation. Some of the young guys like Cameron Kinchin steps up. Obviously, the 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter. And it's funny, too. We talk about the Lions being able to win in a lot of different ways. The Rams have, too, in different fashions. You lose Puka Nacua. He gets kicked out of the game, throwing a punch, and they still win without him.
I didn't even know that.
Credit to Matthew Stafford, those other receivers. I thought Kupp had a big game. They did what they had to do to fight back in this one and get the overtime thriller against the division rival. And, they could have lost this game very, very easily. So a lot of praise for Sean McVay and what he's done there and what how he's gotten his team back from the bad start.
Yeah, Jets get a victory on Thursday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers, season high, 3 touchdowns for him, and the defense had 8 sacks. That's the formula that I would have thought equaled wins throughout the course of the entire season. Are things heading in the right direction?
We'll see, right? The first half didn't go so well, right? So there's still this kind of Jekyll and Hyde nature to the Jets. And until we see it, in kind of a regular Sunday situation, Texans come in a short week on the road. Maybe that hurt them a little bit. I'm going to be a little bit hesitant on the Jets, but it starts with the defense, Mike. They have to be more consistent on that side of the ball, as well as Rodgers in the passing game humming.
Yeah, look, they're on the road against Arizona next time out. At tough 23, game. It's going to be a tough game. The Dallas Cowboys, they dropped 2 spots in your rankings. No Dak Prescott, hamstring injury now for the foreseeable future. Is this the last time I bring up the Cowboys on the show?
It could be. We'll see. I mean, unless they just lose in colossal fashion, but they're in a real tough spot. 3-5, like you said, no Dak could be on the IR soon. Am I going to have to turn it over to Cooper Rush? Yeah, he won 4 games for him a couple years ago, but probably not the same situation. I know they traded for Jonathan Mingo. Felt like a bit of a strange move.
Lance,
maybe has more of an effect next year, but yeah, this is going to be really tricky for them to kind of pull out of this tailspin and remain a contending club with Washington and Philly ahead of them in the division standings. Giants are playing some competitive football too. So yeah, swimming upstream is the way I would describe it.
Look, I don't want to be that dude. If you know, you know, but there's been that little video gif on social media regarding Dak Prescott when he was on the sideline mouthing something. Admitting that the team wasn't good. That's probably the most politically correct way I can describe. I'm not necessarily a lip reader, but it was pretty obvious where he was going with it. Teams ranked 25.
And then we got 25 to 32. Hey, look, when your quarterback saying that, I mean, he probably on his way out the door, too. They probably about to be in the market for a quarterback, but we'll see. Giants at 25. They got us flip-flopping basically with them at 26 now. We lost our coach, though, so hopefully that boosts us up a little bit more. Still better than the Browns, Jags, Titans. Does that say Titans are 6-2? See, look, y'all, even the pros be having misprints. Panthers, Raiders, Patriots. So, hey, at least they still have us over the Panthers despite losing to them. But that does give the Panthers a little bit of a boost. They're probably, this is probably about like what everything should be right now. I would still say, yeah, we are better than all these teams below us. I honestly would probably say we're still better than the Giants, but we lost the Panthers, so can't get much credibility right now.
So let's focus in on the Saints. It's a lot of losses that continue to pile up here. What do we make of the squad who earlier this season we thought was one of the best in the NFL?
Yeah, 2-0 start, 91 points scored in those first two. Huge win at Dallas. You just thought, wow, okay, here we go, right? This is going to be the newfangled Saints. And after a slew of close losses, the blowouts started happening. The injuries piled up. You had questions swirling around Dennis Allen. Now Dennis Rizzi taking over a really, really tough situation. I think Who Dat Nation's kind of checked out a little bit. They've got to find solutions in all three phases. Carr coming back Sunday didn't really help them against the Panthers. Good luck, sir. There's a lot going on there.
I get it. You lose to Carolina. My Lord, though, like Spencer Rattler was their quarterback for a little bit here. You throw a rookie out into the mix here. You don't have Derek Carr out for a good stretch of the season. Once again, a little bit of a surprise because they were a team, to your point, that was just looking like an absolute juggernaut as we started off this NFL.
I told y'all to leave them
Hopefully
alone.
they can fix it. Dude, you're the best, man. I know this is always a tough little sledding here to rank these teams, but appreciate.
Hey, no. Stop all that. I almost call it gaslighting. I don't know what I'm about to say. But no, for real. Told y'all to leave us alone, bro. Like I didn't think anything of it when we dropped 90. I mean, it felt good to see and watch for sure, but I didn't think of anything in terms of long season success. So, I mean, yeah, another week of fun rankings there to see where people are kind of moving and how they're shifting. We're getting more into the playoff picture and realizing that after we passed the trade deadline. So now we just got our little bit of a couple weeks here to see if any of those how those trades will work for teams and boosting them forward and increasing their leads. Then we're in the playoff race. It's playoff season, baby. So let me know how you guys, this team is doing. Where do they rank on the list? And do you agree with it? My Saints fans, how y'all feel about the coach firing? I know a lot of us are turned up, but what is the next thing that we need to do to make this team better? I want to believe it's Spencer Rattler, but if we get a high enough pick and Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, one of them two is still there. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying do it. If we can get a receiver, I was preaching for a receiver a long time ago. We got Chris Olave, and what happened with him and MT helped boost the team. Now we just have Chris Olave, and nobody else is. She even is kind of like inconsistent when he wants to be good and when he doesn't, and it's really mainly just a deep ball threat. So maybe getting another receiver could help out, but I'm starting to see the holes kind of starting to pile up. Obviously, the O-line depth. One injury is all it takes is to knock us out. Halfback Kamara's getting older, so I got 2 more years that we just re-signed him to. Defensively, we just lost our best corner, so you could look at that as a potential spot. But I know we have some young guys moving up in those areas. Linebacker core, we're good. D-line, getting more pass rush could help. So, I mean, like I said, the holes, they're piling up. But let me know how you guys will fix that team or your team in general if you're not a Saints fan. Let me know how you can fix your team if you guys need help or what key additions you need. And we're going to talk about it down below in the comment section. So I love every single one of you guys. Be your boy. Shout out to Smooth, Black Okage, Black Avatar, King Leo. If you want to see me rebuild teams, I have a rebuild series where we're rebuilding the New England Patriots this year. I'm at 25, so make sure you head over to the gaming channel, Smooth Got Game, to check that series out. Catch you guys in the next one, man. I am gone for the day. Peace.